welcome everyone to the 13th round of the GP4 Offline Championship here for the Singapore Grand Prix at the Marina Bay Street Circuit. I'm your host today, George Roke, and welcome to the 13th round of 19 races here in Singapore. The last race in Italy was won by Robert Ionescu, who narrowly managed to beat the two Mercedes in a dry to wet race. Probably one of the best races of the season, I think. Well, it was alright. There was a lot of action, but it was mainly at the start. Ionescu managed to get ahead after the pit stops, and speaking of Ionescu, he also took the lead in the driver's standings after that race, as Waze Cooper had another bad race and lost the lead, and Florian Volker also moved up the order, but sadly didn't get the lead of the standings. But anyway, so we're going to have a look at the Singapore track map, and as you can see, this is one of the infamous corners, turn 7 and 8, where we had Sasha Banks in her first race at the OC had this massive crash. As we move further down the lap, we head towards the infamous Singapore Sling Chicane, or turn 10, where we've had a number of incidents in the past. This was between Viggo Holst and Joseph Willows last season. As we come to the final couple of corners, turn 22 and 23, we've had crashes here as well. In the past, we had Surkoff and Holst, as you can see, 2008. We had, I think it was Waze Cooper when he was at Renault in the same race as well, actually. So that is the map of the Singapore Grand Prix, the only night race, and I say only night race because the only one that actually starts at night and obviously finishes at night. So anyway, the driver of the day and the race rating. So Ionescu, no surprise, I have to say, probably wins the driver of the day, and the race was given a 9.6. But anyway, here is the starting grid for the Singapore Grand Prix. On pole position is Florian Volker, and on second place is Jay McKenzie. That is exactly what those two need in the championship. Third place is Wade Cooper. Fourth place is Robert Ionescu. Fifth place, Vedran Vidrina, good qualifying from him. Sixth place is Mikel Lascal. As we move further down the order, in seventh place is George Roke, followed by Joseph Willows in eighth. Onto the fifth row of the grid, in ninth position is Lucas Levi, an absolutely stunning qualifying by the Singaporean in his home race, with Franco Gamba alongside him in 10th. Oliver Glazebrook is 11th, followed by Ricky Hartgreaves in 12th. As we move on to the 7th row of the grid, is William Duncan in 13th, and Will Nane in 14th, a bad qualifying from him. 15th on the grid is Roland Moyton, followed by Kirosima de Rossi in 16th, but low qualifying than usual for him. Onto the 9th row of the grid is Amar Carver for Cindia and Rick Yan for Caterham. Onto the 10th row of the grid is Roman Clark for Williams and David Greenwood for Marussia. As we move on to the final row of the grid, Zachary Fitzwater and Alex Southgate, who had a pretty disastrous qualifying, 21 seconds off the pace there, unfortunately, but anyway, we are now going to move on to the weather, and as you can see, it will be a dry race, unlike rain, which we did have actually in, I believe it was practice, which is very rare in Singapore. It will be dry once again for the race. I believe we've had a dry race every year we've been to this track, and it will continue once again. So anyway, we are now going to head to the grid for the race, and here we are. So on pole position is Volker, second place is Jamie McKenzie, who is going to get the jump going into the first corner. It's a relatively short run, but anyone could easily still make places up at the start, as we now have the 5 lights on, and out they go, and we're underway for the Singapore Grand Prix. And who's going to get the jump into the first corner? Looks like Volker has got the best start, although McKenzie's on the inside. Is he going to take it? Volker just about holds it around the outside, and he does indeed keep the lead. He goes quite wide there. McKenzie backed off a fair bit there, so he does indeed keep the lead as they head towards turn 6. As we look at Waze Cooper defending from Ionescu in 4th position. So McKenzie second, Cooper in 3rd, Ionescu in 4th. They come down the back straight, come down, I think it's Raffles Boulevard, I think it is. They come down, Ionescu is right behind Cooper. He's going to try and make a move for 3rd place. Cooper defends, and behind George Roke trying to get past Vedran Vidrina for P5. Can't quite do it there. Gal in 7th, Levi still in 9th place in his home race. This is good news for him so far. Look down the rest of the order, and so far everyone has actually avoided contact. But we're now heading towards the Singapore Sling, the Singapore Chicane, as Roke now tries to make another move past Vidrina, but Vidrina defends. They all stack up. It's not easy to go. Well, he can't really pass, but well, Glazebrook just got past Levi there coming into the chicane, so that is a very impressive move from him, to say the least. And we have a Cara, and William Duncan is out of the race at the chicane, and we already have the first retirement on lap 1, and it is at the infamous Singapore Sling Chicane. So we need to have a look at the replay to see what has happened there. And was it by himself? Let's go on board with him. So, he almost went into the back of Will Neller there. I don't know how he managed to avoid contact. That was very, very close, so that obviously didn't help. They all got stacked up into the chicane, and Duncan so nearly, I mean, I don't know how he avoided Neller there. That was so, so close. Just about avoiding Neller and trying to go around the outside of the chicane. got onto the curbs, went a little bit wide, and unfortunately steered into the wall, so that is pretty much of his own making, really, Duncan. So unfortunately he has taken himself out the race on lap 1. So that is his race done. So Southgate, there at the back, still hasn't made many places yet. So Volker leads. They come down the order. So there's Adrian in 5th, Ines in 4th, Roke in 6th, Gal 7th, Willows 8th, Glazebrook 9th, Levi completed the point, Victor Hartstein just behind him. If you look at the rest of the cars coming through the end of the lap, as they come through under the stands, it's actually also seats, because there is actually a floating stadium that is just to the right on the river in real life. But anyway, that doesn't matter right now, as we're coming to the end of the first lap, and Florian Volker leads, sets the fastest lap. McKenzie's in 2nd, Kubra's in 3rd, Ionescu in 4th, and in 5th place it looks like George Roke is going to take 5th place off Vidrina, and he has, so he's now up into P5, so Vidrina is now down to 6th position. Coming down the front straight, Gal is in 7th, Willows is in 8th, Glazebrook is in 9th, and Levi 10th, I believe that is the order. There's George Roke running in P5 as they come through under the stands, as they head towards the last section of the lap. As they come through the the little chicane there, coming into the last couple of corners into turn 22. Now they're coming into turn 23. Roke's right behind Ionescu. He's got a much better run through the corner. He's got so much slipstream, he's got so much momentum, and he's now on the inside. He's going to pass Ionescu before they get to turn 1, and that is a move done for the British driver there on Ionescu. And now he's going to go after Wade Kuba in front of him. So it looks like he's probably going to do the exact same thing that he did to the Ionescu here. So he's going to be right behind Kuba. He'll have the momentum and the slipstream coming through the left-hander, which he does, and Kuba goes a bit wide onto the curbs, and that is Roke that should be through into P3 unless Kuba can hold it around the outside, but he chooses not to. He quite wisely backs off, and Roke now moves into P3. Now looking at Alex Southgate, who is currently stuck in 19th position, who after he started at the back after a disastrous qualifying, and come through looking as Alex Southgate trying to make a move into the chicane. There's contact, and Southgate as he spun. Oh, and Quag nearly hits Jan there, and yes he did, he kind of had a half spin there, but he's trucked now right to the back. It's been a disastrous weekend for Alex Southgate. He's had, you could say, a mixed return really to the OC, and he tried to make a move on Quag. You could just see that really wasn't going to work, and Jan gets through, and he said it was very close there. Quag almost tags the back of Jan's car there coming through the chicane. He rejoined, and ooh, look how close that was, and he it's just a little bit more, just a second earlier, and that would have been Quag and Jan out of the race. As now Fitzwater is right behind Quag. So now looking at George Roke, who is already called up to the back of Jamie McKenzie. I mean, well, the one weak spot of Roke's season so far has been, well, he hasn't got a win yet, and the fact that he also struggles in qualifying. He's had to make several recoveries, and he's gone into the back of his teammate, and he's spun. I think McKenzie's kept going, but Roke has spun, and that is an awful position, and he gets hit by the Ferrari of Wade Kuba. Oh dear me, what? And just as I was saying as well, George Roke unfortunately shoots himself in the foot once again. Well, I wouldn't say once again, but he's shot himself. He really has shot himself in the foot for sure here. And he tried to make a move on McKenzie coming into the chicane. I don't really think it was on him. I mean, he had so much better run out the corner. I mean, I don't know who you can really blame there. I mean, there's just not enough room sadly for two cars. You can make a move, but unfortunately for Roke, he spun right on the apex. There's nowhere really for Kuba to go. He lost his front wing, and Ionescu went into the rear wing of Kuba as well. So that's a very unfortunate incident. And there was another car behind them. I don't know if they got any damage. Nicolas Gow, and no, it appears his front wing is still intact. So Nicolas Gow's got away with that. And oh, and Roke actually gets hit by the McLaren there, Vidrina, but somehow doesn't get any damage whatsoever. That was very, very lucky indeed. So Roke is lucky that he nearly did completely shoot himself in both feet almost there, hitting his teammate and then almost getting hit by Vidrina there, as Willows now goes past, and so does Vidrina. There's a massive gap to Glazebrook behind in 9th position. Levi's still running in 10th at the moment, so he's had a good solid start to the race so far, as it's not very easy to overtake on this track. As they come now down into the last section of the track, coming through, there's the Singapore wheel there, the equivalent to the London Eye. They're coming now under the stands as Ionescu goes past Kuba. He's running now down to P, I think that was 4, well, he's down to P4. Now Vidrina's going to go up into the top 4, so he's had a bit of a lucky break here as the Croatian driver, as they now come into the pit. So Kuba now is about to be overtaken by his teammate Joseph Willows, and they've made contact. Unbelievable scenes, and both Ferraris have, well, they have now shot themselves in the foot, and they have taken each other out of the race. That is unbelievable. So Kuba was trying to get into the pit, and Willows was trying to overtake him, and Kuba just didn't obviously see that he was coming, and just turned and went right into the back of Willows there. Oh my word, that is going to be horrendous. That's once again not good for Kuba with regards to his title hope. Joseph Willis, he hasn't had a very good season. And I mean, I don't think he's really in title contention. And certainly with that, you could say he's probably out of title contention, I'd say, unless he has a miracle last few races. But that is exactly what he didn't want. And Kuba just came in and, oh my word, that is a horrendous crash there. I mean, it's a bit of a deja vu, I think, for Kuba, considering he had a collision with his Renault teammate. I think it was, no, it wasn't Big Horse, I can't honestly remember who it was, in 2008 here. But in fact, it was actually called a Lacer. But he's had it with teammates before at Singapore, so this has not been a good track for him at all. And oh, that is Ricky Hartzane. Ricky Hartzane has he crashed out the race? I don't know if he's suffered a failure or not. And let's see what has happened to him. And it was an accident, so he has actually had an incident. So let's have a look at what happened. And oh, no, it wasn't teammates. I thought for a second it was teammates again. But Hartzane was defending from Franco Gamba, goes wide into the first corner and spins in front of his teammate, Amar Khan, who loses his front wing. Teammates have collided again. And oh my word. And that happened right in front of, I believe that was De Rossa and also Lucas Levi. So he went wide there, and Gamba managed to just avoid it. But then, unfortunately, Hartzane lost control as he rejoined the track and lost it right in front of the Force India there, and actually took out the side of his car there. And he also then hit Hartzane and lost his front wheel. So Levi, so that's actually, no, that's not Levi, that's actually David Greenwood. So I don't know what's happened to Levi, unless he's made a stop or something. He must have dropped down the order. But anyway, so wow, so that is the teammates colliding once again. Now we're looking here for P14, a battle between Roman Quag, Ionescu and George Roque, and Roque goes a bit wide over the curbs there as Ionescu now makes a move on the inside of Quag coming into turn 1. Has he got the move done? And the answer is yes, he has. So he moves up into 14th position, and Roque can't quite make the move despite the fact Quag went quite wide coming into through turn 2. Now Zachary Fitzwater, yet to score, the only driver yet to score a point this season. Whether he'll be looking to change that. Now looking at Jay McKenzie, who's coming in for his first pit stop of the race on lap 21. So I imagine it will probably be for a 2-stop as he comes into the pits. He has to go down Fairwhack near the end. He now comes into his pit box, and let's see how quick his stop will be. And so he puts the tyres on. That's a 6.2 second stop. So how many laps of fuel? 28 laps of fuel. So it'll go quite long on this one. So he'll pit fairly close to the end of the race. Now looking at Roman Quag once again in the Williams, who goes wide, coming out of the hairpin, and he is now out of the race, and he's lost a wheel from that as well, as now Florian Volker is actually coming by in the Red Bull, and I don't believe it! Oh no! And Florian Volker has hit the debris, has hit the wheel from Quag's car, and is retired from this race, and he's now taken Rick Yan with him. Oh my goodness me, what have I just witnessed? So Florian Volker, who was comfortably leading, hits the wheel from Quag's car after he crashed, and then goes into Rick Yan and takes him out of the race as well. Oh my, like, just what are the chances? What are the chances of that happening? That is, I don't quite believe what I've seen. Like, I honestly don't. So I mean, the wheel was there, and Volker just goes into it there, and obviously loses his wing and his front right wheel. And that is him out of the race, and then he just kept on going and actually locked up. He tried to stop the car, but unfortunately Rick Yan came at exactly the wrong time. So we're now going to go on board with him in full speed. And there's the wheel, so he goes into the wall, and he's still going at a fair rate of speed. I mean, he is going downhill here, and obviously there was a problem with the brakes, so look, he couldn't stop the car. He locks up there, and then unfortunately Yan comes around the corner and takes him out. So wow, just wow. So I believe actually that means that Jay McKenzie is going to take the lead. I think so. Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure it'll be Jay McKenzie who will take the lead of the Grand Prix now that Volker is retired. So we're going to have another look at the incident from this view from Volker here. So Yan hadn't avoided the debris that was coming down into the hairpin, coming down the small straight out of the hairpin, and then just coming into the corner. Volker just tried to do everything, was steering, trying to stop the car. Clearly the brakes have now failed following that crash, and then as you can see coming into the corner, he locks up. There's a little bit of smoke there, and unfortunately there was Yan at exactly the wrong time, and that was his race and Volker's done, and that is going to be unbelievable. That is the good news now for Robert Ionescu. Now that means he will stay ahead of Volker in the standings, but he still needs to recover if he wants to keep the lead in the championship. Because I think right now it would be, I think Jay McKenzie would take the lead of the championship, as we're looking at Miklos Gal, who is now coming down the straight. And Miklos Gal actually is going to benefit from this as well. So I think everyone's going to, everyone certainly in the title fight is going to benefit from this. George Roke could if he recovers. We'll see about that if he does or not. As we're now looking at Miklos Gal after his stop, coming around the final corner as the Lotus there of Nella goes a bit slow, gets a bad exit coming out of the corner, and now Gal surely has the move done coming into the first corner. Has he got it? He's still on the inside. Nella holding it. He goes over the curves there. I mean, that's track limits there, but I think Gal's now finally got the move done, and yes, he has. He's now up into P4, so he's got through. Well, he's got through the Lotus. Now he's got to get past. I think it is. I don't know who the car is in front. Oh, that's Roland Moitian, who is out of the race. He's crashed at exactly the same place as as his teammate did, Roman Quag, just a few laps ago. So his car is still currently just tiptoeing down the straight, but it's finally stopped. And that is both Williams out of the race, crashed at exactly the same corner. At least he's got like a boat there that he could go on. But anyway, we need to have a look to see what happened to him. Oh, and as there goes some cars going through traffic there. So we're going to have a look. Was it a crash by himself, or did he have contact? So he had Robert Ionescu behind him in the Lotus, and coming in the hairpin, was there any contact? So Quad went wide there. Ionescu was on the inside. No, I mean, there wasn't any contact, so I don't think you could really blame Ionescu for that one, as Roke and I believe that was, I think, Greenwood come through the corner there. So I mean, they're all right behind Quad, who was obviously struggling on those tyres. He was pitting in a few laps actually, probably about 2 laps I'd say. But he's now not going to be making a pit stop at all. But he will be going back to the pits, but without a car. So that is his race now done. It's actually Vidrina who actually leads this race, but McKenzie has pitted, of course. So McKenzie will be the proper leader. And oh my word! And Oliver Glazebrook has now crashed at that corner as well. Oh my goodness me! What is going on here? So there must be something down there. But so now Quag, Moitian, and now Glazebrook has crashed out of the corner there, and that is not good news for the British driver. He's actually running a P3, so he's having a good race. And he was actually, I think, going to be pitting. He was actually going to be pitting this lap as well. That is very unfortunate. So unfortunately, the tyres have now let go for Oliver Glaze. But let's see if it was the same thing that happened. Did he get any contact from Miklos Gal behind him as he comes through? Does he go wide? Yep, goes a little bit wide. Yep, just and unfortunately get understeers into the wall. And just as the yellow flags had gone away, they come back out again for Glazebrook's car. Now that his car will have to be taken away, as now here's David Greenwood trying to attack Ionescu. And oh my word! And he's just nabbed past Ionescu there, and he's wow! I can't believe what I've just seen. Greenwood just nabs past. Was there any yellow flags out? I don't think there was, because there was the debris. And was there any yellow flags? No. I mean, oh, look at that! They slowed down rapidly because they saw the car there, and Greenwood just said thanks very much and just snuck through past Ionescu there. Wow, what a move by David Greenwood. Is now coming into the chicane. So here is coming towards the Singapore chicane. Here is Lucas Levi battling with Ionescu, trying to get on the inside. It goes wide, and oh, Levi goes into the wall. And oh, Ionescu loses his front wing. And on George Roke has crashed. Yes, he has. And George Roke has crashed. And that was from the debris from Levi's car. So George Roke's race is over. And that's going to be horrendous for his title hopes. And Omar Carr has hit the debris as well. So he's now going to have to go in the pits again. But for George Roke, that is not good at all, and especially considering there are doubts over his seat for next season. That is not going to do his hopes up any load of good at all. So Levi went wide, went over the harsh curve, lost his front wing. Ionescu hit that debris, and then Roke hit it as well, and then there goes the wheel, and there goes Roke into the wall. So we're going to have a look. So Ionescu was trying to get on the inside of Levi. Levi defended, but just went way too wide, bounced over those harsh curves. The wing just went right in front of Ionescu there, hit it, and then George Roke did exactly the same thing straight after. Let's have a look on board with him. So he was actually going to be pitting soon, and there was the debris from Levi. There was the wing, tried to sneak through, but then hits the wing from Levi's car, and that is his race done. So there we go. That's another retirement. So we've had quite a few so far, and then obviously Carr also hits the debris from that crash, and so he's now going to have to go into the pits again. So McKenzie leads. It's all looking very good for McKenzie right now. as we look at Lucas Levi coming into the pits. And now veteran Vidrina does indeed make his first pit stop of the race. I don't believe he's actually made a stop yet, so I think this is his first pit stop. So let's see how quickly he does with his stop. And let's have a look. So he gets in 33 laps. So yeah, so Vidrina is on the 1 stop here, so he will be going to the end on that set of tyres. I'll be interested to see how well that actually works for him. I'll be interested to see. I don't know if the 1 stop is necessarily going to be a good one. Is now David Greenwood makes a move. Ooh, wow! Look how close that was. He makes a move past Franco Gamba for P5. Nice move there by David Greenwood. That was very close there. Actually, Gamba will be pitting next lap. Will be pitting certainly not this lap, but will be pitting next lap for sure. And so this is actually a battle for position. And how those two didn't collide coming into the chicane, or how lucky Gamba was that he didn't go over the curbs and lose any debris, is quite surprising. But so Greenwood now does come into the pits himself for Marussia, and now into the pits he comes. And let's see how quick his stop will be. So he's battling with position for Franco Gamba, so that was an important move. So that could be an interesting battle come the end of the race. So Gamba will be pitting, obviously, this lap that they're on anyway, after Greenwood does. So Gamba's obviously gone past, so you'll have to see how that battle pans out. So Greenwood comes into the pits. He's had a good race so far, Greenwood, or both Mauritius have, apart from Levi's instant at the chicane. But anyway, Zinescu now comes out of the pits. David Greenwood's going to come out ahead of him. There's Alex Southgate now in the points for the first time this race. If you look at Franco Gamba, who now does come into the pits, and now will be the interesting thing is he didn't have much fuel at Gamba, so he was leaving it quite late. But I imagine he'll probably be going to the end on that set of tyres, unless he decides to make another stop before the end. But we shall see. So Gamba comes into the pits, so I'm sure they should fuel into the end. And yep, 32 laps of fuel, so he'll be going to the end of this race. So it will be straight battle between him and David Greenwood. But the question is, where? Oh, Greenwood actually has already gone past. So wow, so that the pace on the fresh tyres really showing everything there. Zinescu goes past as well. But Zinescu will look to get past David Greenwood pretty quickly as well. As there is Jamie McKenzie just coming down the front straight. So Gamba running in P9 currently. So he's in the points. He hasn't had the greatest of seasons compared to his teammate William Duncan. So if we look at Jamie McKenzie, the leader, coming down onto the back straight. So we've actually only got 12 cars left in this race, and we've only just about got halfway. So wow, who knows how many cars are still going to be left by the end. We've already had a number out already. So been a race of attrition this, as we look at Lucas Levi in the Marussia in front of his home crowd, coming down the back straight, heading in towards turn 7. They now come off the curb, heading towards the right hand, and then it'll be a relatively fast left into the chicane. Looking at Jamie McKenzie running in P1. As you can see, Will Neller is now making a pit stop for Lotus, as we will see him come into the pits. And let's see, and he comes in.
Okay, no pressure.
And let's see how quick the stop will be. So it is a 5.3 second stop. So that's pretty quick from the Lotus. And let's see where he comes out on track. So he's going to come out ahead of De Rosa, or is he going to come out behind him? It's going to be close. And I think he's going to come out just behind him as well. As now we're looking at the Red Bull of Nicolas Gal, who's currently running in second place. And oh, De Rosa's gone wide. Oh, and has there been a collision? Because De Rosa went wide, and Alex Southgate's been involved with something again, coming into the chicane. So what has happened here? So Will Miller, who had obviously just come out of the pits, Alex Southgate, who was battling with De Rosa, and I believe there was contact. I'm pretty sure there was contact. So Southgate spins at that corner again, and Will Miller says thank you very much and takes 2 positions there. And Southgate, oh, hang on, oh, and he goes into the wall. And Alex Southgate, he could have actually got himself some points despite the race that he's had, but he's now ruined it for himself, and that is Alex Southgate out of the race. That was just a silly mistake there by the race driver. You can see the contact from Southgate there, and spins at chicane. Will Miller says bye-bye, and then Southgate gets himself over the curb, and unfortunately just goes into the wall there. A really silly mistake by Southgate. He hasn't had the greatest of returns to the series, to be brutally honest, but it can still improve going into the last few races of the season. But now we've only got, I believe it is 11 cars now left in the race, so yeah, just 11 cars left, and we've still got 20 or so laps to go, so who knows what is going to happen here. As we look at Kirosima De Rossa, who now comes in for his pit stop.
Just prepare yourself.
Let's see where he comes out onto the track. 5.2 second stop, that's pretty quick. And he comes out, where does he come out on track? So he comes out in the points. Well, I think he will for sure come out in the points because there's only 11 cars left. So Zachary Fitzwater is unfortunately right now running in 11th. Oh, there's contact there between De Rossa and Lucas Levi, the home favourite. They won't be happy, and De Rossa goes into the wall. He goes into the wall and loses his front wing. And Zachary Fitzwater, who at the moment, who's running in last position, 11th, he might have hope for some points here. As De Rossa, who tried to pass Levi coming into the chicane, didn't really work, and unfortunately goes into the wall. So it's probably, in a way, a bit calmer for trying to get past the home favourite Levi, as he'll want to get some points in this race. As now we're looking at Jay McKenzie with 15 laps to go, making his final stop of the race. So Gal, I believe, is Gal. Is he will Gal have to make another stop? I can't honestly remember, but I think he's on the same strategy as McKenzie, so I think he will have to pit. And now McKenzie comes out onto the track, and so he comes out in P2, and I think he'll stay in P2 because I think there was a pretty big gap to Junior in third, and he comes out of the pits, and now Mikolas Gal next lap now comes into the pits, and let's see how quick this stop will be, because this could be interesting to decide the race. So it looks like we're going to have a battle between Jay McKenzie and Mikolas Gal for the win. So actually, I don't know where Ian Iscu is in the standings, because well, where he is, I mean, in the race with regards to the standings, I should say. Let me rephrase that, because I don't know where Ian Iscu is. I think he's either I think he's like P5. I think he is. So I'm not sure if anyone would take the lead. I believe either McKenzie or Gal could take the lead of the standings here. As does Gal come out ahead of Adrian? This could be interesting for the race, and he does just come out ahead of Adrian, and that could be very interesting because now he'll have clear air to go after McKenzie. Had he been behind, there probably would have been a chance for McKenzie to win this. Well, he still could win it, but be interesting to see the pace difference between the two cars on fresher tyres. Gal's will only be 1 lap fresher than McKenzie, so that could be very interesting come the last few laps of the race, as David Greenwood is in from Marussia. He's had a great race so far, and he's set to score a whole nother batch of points by the looks of it, as he now comes out of the pits, as now Omar Carr comes in for a pit stop. He's not had the greatest of races, to be brutally honest, but well, he's still in the race, and he looks like he is going to get some points as he now comes into the pits. And let's see how quick this stop will be for I couldn't quite see actually how quick that was. So as we're looking at, I believe this is Armor Car who's now trying to attack Lucas Levi, and oh, we know he won't be attacking him much longer, and there's an engine failure, and there is an engine failure for Armor Car, and Zachary Fitzwater looks like, as long as he can keep it on the road, is going to take his first points of the season for Caterham, and Armor Car is going to come away with absolutely nothing. It looked like he would still get points despite all the problems he's had, but obviously they've manifested into what has happened here. So that is Omar Carr's race done and dusted. So now we only have, I think, 10 cars. Yeah, I think we've only got now 10 cars. So now we've only got 10 cars, but that will mean points for all the drivers that are still left. So there we go. So that is Omar Carr's race done and dusted, as he's still going around. So, but he won't obviously be able to fix the problem because it is an engine failure. So he'll have to pull it off the track, which I imagine he'll do so pretty soon. Well, unless he wants to try and keep going, but there's no point, as now his car finally gives up the ghost and starts going slowly, and he will now pull off, and that will be his race over, as he now makes a bit of a hash of that, and now he's spun there as De Rossa set to come through. Hopefully he doesn't hit the debris, which he doesn't, so that is De Rossa now up into 9th position, and now Zachary Fitzwater will be up to 10th. And now here we are, the battle for the race lead here between Jay McKenzie and Mikolas Gal. So clearly having that 1 lap of fresher, well, 1 lap older fresher tyres has clearly made a big difference, because look at how, so Gal has caught him very quickly indeed. Can McKenzie hold on for a win here? Because if I can calculate this correctly, so at the moment I believe Ionesco, I think he would keep in fact, I think if McKenzie wins this, then I think he would keep the lead, then he would actually take the lead of the standings. But I think if Gal wins this, then I believe Ionesco will keep the lead. So McKenzie, if he wins, he'll go top. So he'll ideally want to be top of the standings, but Gal, if he wins, he will well, he'll certainly be very close to Ionesco. I believe he'll be either first or second, but I think he will be second in the standings if he wins this. So this is quite fascinating. This is real. This is a real title battle here, as they now come into the last section of the lap, coming through the chicane. Now heading towards the final couple of corners, turns 22 and 23. Gal is going to be right behind Mackenzie. Will he have the slipstream? He goes a little bit wide and actually loses some ground to him, as now we've got a battle for 6th place on here between Franco Gamba and David Greenwood as they're coming down the back straight. So Greenwood's caught up with Gamba, so this battle has gone on throughout the race, and now Greenwood's going to try and make a move on Gamba. He can't quite do it there as he comes through the left-hander, now coming through the right, heading towards the Singapore Saling, which, if you didn't know, is an alcoholic drink, for those of you who didn't know that. As we look coming through, and now Greenwood is going to try and make a move into the chicane. No, he can't. Oh, Gamba, in fact, goes a bit wide. Coming into the chicane, he just about avoids the wall somehow. That was very, very lucky indeed. And now Nicholas Gow is going to be right behind Mackenzie. He's not going to be close enough to make a move into the chicane, but he thinks better of it, I'd say. As now they come through the chicane, heading towards the right now. Oh, Franco Gamba's out, and Franco Gamba is out of the race with just 4 laps to go. Oh no, and Franco Gamba, who's having the battle with Greenwood, he still is, I believe, going to be classified because he's completed, I think it's 90% of the race. So he is still going to get points, but he's only going to get 1, where he could have got a whole bunch more. But that's great news for David Greenwood, as he now will be in P6, and great news also for Zachary Fitzwater, because he'll move up another position to P9, so he'll now get 2 points. So that is unfortunate for Franco Gamba. It's just not been his season. It could have been a whole lot better this race had he just kept it on the road. But, well, I mean, he could have easily just maybe conceded it to Greenwood to avoid this, but sadly it's not happened. And so for Franco Gamba, that is his race done with just 4 laps to go. And that's going to be very interesting. And now it's going to be, I wonder if there's actually any other battles going on track apart from obviously the Mackenzie Gal things. Let's have a look from David Greenwood's point of view. Did he make contact, or did Gamba do what Quag, Moyton and Glazebrook did? And yep, he did exactly what Quag, Moyton and Glazebrook did. They both went, they all went wide around the turn and then went into the wall, and that's exactly what Franco Gamba has done. And that is his race sadly over. As Carline gets pushed away, so De Rossa moves up, so that's good news also for Levi. Now he moves up into P8 in front of his home crowd, so still right now Gal holds, well, I should say Mackenzie holds on to the lead, as Gal, I should say, is being held up, so to speak, by Mackenzie as they come through the right-hander. But surely Gal is going to be getting him soon. He's just so much quicker than him. He's got the slipstream. He's going to try and make a move coming down the end of the back straight. He's now right behind him. He's alongside him. Is Gal going to make the move here? Mackenzie defends, and he still can't quite make the move stick. And having a look at the order, so Ionescu right now is in P5. So that's where he is. I don't think he's going to be able to get Will Nella, because I think if he gets past Nella, then he'll certainly have a keep the points lead. But it's going to be very close on the end of this race. So we're going to come through the chicane. Gal right behind. It's only going to be a matter of time, surely, before he gets past. Coming through the other chicane, heading towards the hairpin. He isn't going to try and make a move here, because unfortunately there just isn't quite enough room. And he's now right behind Mackenzie. Will he make a move coming down the end of the straight? I don't think he will, because I think he's a little bit too far back, and he stays behind him for the moment. So he can't. I don't think he can really make a move until the end of the lap. Until they come obviously to the final corners, because you can't really overtake in this next section as they come through over the curves. Take a lot of curves through there, they do. Now coming under the stands, going past the Ferris wheel there. I think it's the Singapore Flyer, I think it's called. As they come through the right and then the left, and then they're so close to each other. And surely Gal could get, well, he could get the move done. Coming down the front straight, he's right behind Mackenzie, and he goes a little bit wide, gets a poor run through, and Nicholas Goud's on the inside, and surely he's got the move done. As they come into turn 1, yes he has, and Nicholas Goud takes the lead of the Singapore Grand Prix, and that could be very big in the championship come the end of the season, as we're now onto the final lap. So the gap to Mackenzie now 4.2 seconds, so clearly had the pace on those fresher tyres than Jay Mackenzie as they come through the section of the lap. So 9 cars, only 9 cars are still in this race. I don't know if I don't actually know if that is a record or not. I can't remember. I think it was back in 2009. I think Monte Carlo had quite a few retirements. I think they had about 9 or 10, I believe. But But just let me know, obviously, in the comments if that is the least amount of cars that finished a race. As Gal comes through the hairpin and comes now down onto the little straight. He's got this in the bag, well, unless he obviously makes a mistake, but let's hope he doesn't. And look at how far Vadrina is. He's in 60 seconds, so he's a minute behind. So it proves the pace of these two up front as they come through the last section of the lap, heading towards the stands for the final time. 61 laps it is. It's usually quite a long race around Singapore. I mean, imagine if it was wet, it'd be the longest race in history, probably. Right, but fortunately it wasn't. But anyway, that does not really matter right now. And Nicolas Gal comes round the final couple of corners. He's set to come round, turns 22. He comes round turn 22. He comes round turn 23. And Nicolas Gal is going to win the Singapore Grand Prix. Congratulations to him. And that could be very interesting in the title fight. I cannot wait to see the standings come the end of this race. Jamie McKenzie comes across the line in second, just couldn't quite beat Gal there. A bit like, so it's a similar thing with Gal, like what happened with George Roque in Singapore. Well, it's kind of in Deja Vu, like in Malaysia, actually, where Gal overtook Roque with just a few laps to go, and he overtakes McKenzie here as well. So that's quite interesting, to say the least. As now we're going to look at De Rosa, who is running in P7. He's set to take some good points for Sauber. He's going to be finished in between the two virgins, David Greenwood and Lucas Levi, as they come through the right and through the left, and coming through the final couple of corners. Turns 22 and turn 23, comes through 22. Now he comes through turn 23, and De Rosa takes 7th position, so well done to him. And now we wait to see the other cars coming across the line. So Lucas Levi, good for him. He will come across the line in 8th place in front of his home crowd. That will delight them, I have to say. He's not been the cleanest race for Levi, but it doesn't matter. He manages to. He's one of the ones that has survived. He now comes across the line, and he will take 8th place and take some points here in Singapore. So well done to him. Vedra Virginia takes a very good podium for McLaren. Will Neller comes across to finish in P4 for Lotus. And we look at Robbie Ionescu, who managed to survive despite the incidents he had in the race. He comes across the line in P5. And Zachary Fitzwater, he finally takes points for Caterham, meaning that every driver so far this season has scored points in the OC, so well done to him. As we look at David Greenwood, who's going to come across the line in P6, so that's a good result for him. And there it is, race over, 1 hour and 45 minutes that was, so it was quite a long race, nearly 2 hours, but well done to Miguel Gal. That was a great race, a nice battle at the end. So here are the full race results. So Miguel Gal wins ahead of Jamie McKenzie in 2nd, Vedra Virginia in 3rd, Muller in 4th, Robert Ionescu in 5th, David Greenwood 6th, with De Rosa, Levi, and Fitzwater being a lap down, with Franco Gamba still being classified despite obviously not finishing the race. So he at least gets a point from this race, but it could have been a whole lot more, so he'd be probably a bit disappointed with that. But anyway, we're now going to have a look at the rest of the standings. It was Miguel Gal who took the fastest lap at 1:39.488. So now let's take a look at the second half. So here are all the retirements. Amar Carr, Alex Southgate, George Rogue, Oliver Glazebrook, Roland Moitian, Florian Volker, Rick Yan, Roman Quagg, Rifki Hartrazane, Joseph Willows, Waze Kuba, and William Duncan all retired from this race. All except for Amar Carr retired due to crashes that they incurred during the race. So yeah, certainly a race of attrition to say the least. But anyway, we will now take a look at the driver standings of the Singapore Grand Prix. So we're going to take a look right about now. So here it is. So Ionescu does in fact just keep the lead ahead of Miguelos Gal by just a single point. McKenzie 3rd with 135, Volker 4th with 131, Kuba 5th with 123, Neller 6th with 121, Roque 7th with 113. He's probably just about still in it, but Willows, I'd say, is probably out with just 94. With Virginia 8th, Virginia in 9th, I should say, and De Rosa completing the top 10 with Hartrazane, Holst, Carr, Greenwood, Southgate, Duncan, Quagg, Gamba, Glazebrook, Moyton, Levi, Yan, and Fitzwater completing all the point scorers, with Zachary Fitzwater obviously scoring his first points of the season. In the constructor standings, Red Bull lead by just 9 points ahead of Lotus in 2nd. In 3rd position is Mercedes, 4th place Ferrari, 5th place way behind is McLaren, 6th place is Sauber, 7th is Force India, 8th is Toro Rosso, 9th is Williams, 10th is Marussia, and 11th is Caterham. So there we go, that has been the Singapore Grand Prix. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to, as usual guys, vote for your driver of the day and give the race a rating out of 10. Thank you for watching everyone, and see you for the next round in Korea. Thanks for watching, and see you then.